Hi, my name is Lynne Suprock. I'm a creative mixed media artist who designs, publishes, and teaches in the mixed media world. I was recently featured on the local PBS show, It Artsy, with Julie Faye Fan Balzer. In one of my segments, I designed book plates using Apoxie Sculpt. Today, via the supplemental, I will show you how to stitch the book together using my version of the Coptic stitch. Enjoy! Okay, well here's the little book we're going to be Coptic stitching together today. It measures 1 3/4 inches wide by 2 inches long, and it's made out of Apoxie Sculpt by Aves. You can see there's also homemade paper signatures in the book as well. And on each of the book plates there are 5 holes that have been put into the clay, and then on the signature there are 5 corresponding holes in each one, and that's so that it all lines up when you stitch it at the end. Now this is a mixed media project, so keep in mind it's not precision or very perfect. It's kind of loose looking, and that's the way this was intended to be as a project. So you're going to find a needle, and it's going to fit into the holes of the epoxy book plates, and then you're going to measure out 10 lengths of a thread. I count the 3 signatures and 2 book plates as 5, and then I multiply that by 2, and that gives me a good length of thread. You can use waxed linen, but I prefer to use a nylon thread such as C-lon or S-lon or B-lon. Now you're going to begin by taking your needle and coming through from the inside of the first signature, pull the thread, leaving a little bit at the end to spare because you'll want to tie a knot when you're all finished. Then you're going to take your needle and come through the book plate, excuse me, twice. You're going to wrap it around, and then you're going to move from right to left with your needle because that's the direction that you're working now, and you're going to come through those 2 stitches that you had just wrapped around your book plate and then pull snugly. Then you're going to come back into the first signature, pull the thread, and then enter the second hole on the inside of the book. I'm going to repeat the same process as you did with the first hole. You come through the signature, and then you'll wrap around the book plate twice. Now moving from right to left again, put your needle through both loops of the thread that's on your book plate, and then pull tight. Return back through the signature and repeat the process along the way with the last 3 holes. Sometimes those loops get a little snug, as you'll see, and you have to work with them to get your needle to pop through both of them. Now after you complete the 2 loops around the book plate and then insert your needle through both stitches moving right to left, you're going to do something a little different. You're not going to go through that same hole of the first signature. Instead, what we're going to do is take the second signature and line it up. Place it right on top, and we're going to insert the needle through the first hole of the second signature. We're going to work in the other direction then, coming through each hole of the signature, coming out, and now this time we're moving in the opposite direction. So you're going to catch the 2 previous threads there and pull your needle from left to right, and then insert it back into the same signature. So you come through the second signature hole, moving from left to right, insert your needle underneath the last group of stitches that you had made on the book plate. There's 2 threads there. It gets a little snug, you just have to work with it. Pull the needle and then return the needle back through that second signature in the same hole. You can see how it's coming together in the stitching pattern that's forming between the book plate and the signatures. Now, if you were to add many pages or many signatures, you would do this same process back and forth. At the last stitch, you would place your next signature and go back through the whole of that new signature at each of the ends. And then when you're finished, which we're coming close to since I only used 3 signatures, when you're down to your last signature and the book plate, you will use those together. So I'm not going to go back into the same signature here. I'm going to get my next signature, which happens to be my last one, so I'm going to take the book plate as well, put it on top. Now this takes a little finagling with your hands to hold the book in place, and while I'm trying to show you the stitching here, it may be a little off-centered, or I might move around a little bit, so I apologize. But you go down through the top of that book plate. The needle goes from the top down through the bottom, and you do that twice. You wrap it twice. And then moving in the direction that you're going again, from right to left, you catch those last 2 stitches, pull the thread through, and then come back to that hole in the last signature that's right underneath that top book plate and pull it through. When you're doing it on your own, you can pull it a little snug and hold it in a way that's comfortable for you, but for demonstrating, I try to allow you to see what I'm doing. So I might not be pulling quite as tight or holding it in the way that I would if I was just sitting in a chair. But you come through the signature, and then from the top down, come around the book plate twice. And then moving from right to left, you send your needle through the last 2 stitches from the previous signature. You pull it tight, and then you insert the needle back through a top signature to the inside and pull tight. You repeat this pattern to the end. till you get to the last holes of the last signature and book plate. And then at the end I'll show you how to tie off the knot at both the front and the back signatures. And approach the last hole from the inside of the last signature. Go through the hole, come out, go to the top of the book plate, insert your needle twice as you've been doing previously. And moving from right to left, send your needle through the last 2 stitches of the previous signature, come back up and into the hole of the top signature. I have a little trouble seeing it there, but just through the top and pull tight. And that completes the stitching, and once you've finished, you can, as I said before, take the extra length of thread or string and put it underneath this first stitch in the signature, and then loop it around and pull tight into a small knot. You can just cut the end off close to the knot, and to reinforce it a little better, you can just put a dab of some white glue and let it dry onto the end, into the knot, and come around to the beginning where you started, where you had an extra length of string, and do the same thing. Send it through the next stitch in the signature, make a loop, and then come back through and pull tight. Snip it off, and there you have it. One little Coptic stitched book using the homemade papers and Abe's Apoxie Sculpt clay. Pretty neat. Thanks.